Hello, so I made Super Mario 64 in VR, but at the beginning I didn't know I wanted to make a Mario 64 game. What I wanted was to make a VR game where you have to move physically to move in the game. What's the point of using boring controller sticks or pressing buttons to jump in VR? That's for lazy fat guys who don't want to move. I also wanted to have realistic physics, like being able to climb, bump into stuff, and so on. Like in Boneworks, Blade and Sorcery, and that kind of cool VR games. The first thing I started with was making the player movement. It was really hard to create the perfect movement. I had to delete everything, start over several times until I found something I liked. First, I started by using a hexa body, which is the movement of Boneworks. Basically, the player is made of 4 rigid bodies on the body of the player and 2 more on the hands. And to move, it uses a rolling ball under the player. Then, just to simplify, I removed the entire body and kept only the rolling ball. And I made the player crouch automatically when climbing to make it easier to get up on things, but I still wasn't convinced. So I decided to try something else, like the movement from Gorilla Tag, but I didn't really like it because it moved way too fast. Finally, I decided not to overcomplicate things and just made something really simple. I used a capsule with physics, and I made the capsule height adjust from the ground to the player's head. And since it was still hard to climb places because I had to crouch physically in real life, yeah, I know I said I wanted a game where you have to move in real life, but I also don't want it to be annoying or painful to play. So to fix that, what I did was disable the player's body and keep only the head collider when you're hanging on something. Then re-enable the body when you touch the ground. Then I added arm swinging movement while you press the stick, and to jump you do a small hop by moving your arms and head upward. At this point I really like what I made and I had a lot of fun jumping around. Objects you can grab, and also weapons to test the different types of grips. Then I started messing around with random stuff like this mannequin that I completely beat up. Since I wanted to keep making parkour, I added a Mario 64 map just to run and jump everywhere. That's when I got the idea of making a Mario 64 VR game. Still, I kept creating random nonsense like this slime. Then I started creating some kind of enemies that you can beat with punches. Not with hugs and kisses. No. Yes, that's better. The enemies use waypoints, but they are still physical objects. Then I added that you can defeat them by jumping on their heads, like Mario. I also added the blocks you hit from below to break them. Then I added the first power up, the fire flower. After that, I added 2 more power-ups, the hallucinogenic mushrooms, one to grow big and one to shrink. I know those aren't in Mario 64 specifically, but the metal and invisibility ones seem kinda boring. Now we need to give all this a proper visual look. First, the level is going to be Bob-omb Battlefield, so I downloaded the model. Then I downloaded the Goomba. I had the idea to modify it so you could squash it with physics. Now you can kill it with your feet or your fists. Since we're in the bomb level, we need bombs, but they look very 2D, so I made them 3D. I also downloaded the mushroom and the fire flower models, but they were way too 3D. So I made them more low poly to match a game older than me. I added the chain chomp, which is pretty scary in VR. I also made the trees, coins and other details. And finally, I added these balls that follow weapons using physics, so you can push them or they can push you. Now let me show you how the gameplay turned out.